Good afternoon. I'd like to thank the grace of heaven, virtues of the masters, and compassion and mercy of grand predecessors, transmitters, temple masters, lecturers, and others for giving me this opportunity today to talk about today's topic, which is chapter 16 of the Tao Te Ching, or Classic, The Way and the Virtue. Okay, so everybody can see, right? Okay, is this this is big enough, right? I zoomed it to 260. Okay, all right. So chapter 616, it's called Fu Ming Zang, or chapter on Fu Ming. So the translation is return to one's nature. Now, Ming we will define in the fourth phrase, I believe. Yeah, fourth phrase or fourth line. But, it has a lot of meaning. And, okay, fu is obviously the verb in this case. So it says return, okay, which we will translate in the fourth phrase also, okay? All right, but for now, we'll just say return to one's nature. Okay, so let's start. The first sentence or line is to say, attain the ultimate emptiness, to hold on to the truest tranquility or stillness. Okay, so this first word, it just means to, it's a verb, okay? Well, it could be a verb, adverb, adjective. Okay, so verb, it means, to reach, arrive, or what's this preposition? I don't know. To, until is adverb, adjective. Okay. It's a verb in this case. Okay. So she. All right. This word's been used a couple times previously. I think it's chapter 4 or 2. It's one of those. Okay. But anyway, but it's in this case it's a noun. It could be a noun, adjective. So in this case, it's just emptiness, void, usually. Okay, space. Ji, okay, that's the word that used in Tai Ji, or Wu Ji, Tai Ji. It just it's an adjective in this case, which is or the verb. Noun, utmost point, highest point, apex, to the greatest end, to the okay. All right, so it just means to its extreme limit, if you will. Okay. Okay, then that's the first phrase, those 3 words, okay, these 3 words. Then the second phrase, so, is, in this case, is a verb, okay. All right, it just means to hold on to, right? It could mean to observe, okay, to abide by. Okay, second word, jing, it just means stillness. It could be now, stillness, quietude, tranquility, or it could be an adjective, right? Okay, motionless, calm. Okay, du is the third word, okay, of this second phrase. It just means it's earnest, genuine, sincere, true, serious. Okay, so these are, it could be adjective or noun. Okay. All right, so the basic meaning of this first phrase, attaining the ultimate emptiness. Okay, sorry. Okay, it's just means to empty all thoughts from our mind. Okay, all right. But there's a deeper meaning to this, where it's more than just empty. Right? Okay, empty. It's you can say it's the true void without objects. The equivalent, I should have wrote it down here, it's the equivalent of, in Buddhism, right, Buddhist teaching, they say Zhen Kong, it'd be similar to that. Literal translation means true emptiness. Okay? All right, so it's true void, truth. Okay, so the deeper meaning of the first phrase is to let go of all karmic affinities. So that's, to attain the ultimate emptiness. It's to let go of all our karmic affinities, true emptiness. Okay. Then there's another meaning or implication is all the external objects of this material, I should say material world, okay, all the delusions right here, okay, all the external objects of this material world, okay, and all the delusions, so that's external, this is, I guess, internal, are all gone. It's empty, okay, that's what it means, all right. Then there's a deeper understanding of this phrase to, attain emptiness, okay. It's the way of heaven. Now, they say 10th Tao, you say the Tao of heaven, but I say a way, okay, because there's only one Tao. Then you can say, there are many ways underneath that Tao, okay. So, or nature, you can say the nature of heaven, is to eliminate all beginning and ending, okay. The true emptiness of the formless, this is from chapter, I think it's 13, okay. Anyway, all right. Okay, so that's the first phrase. Second phrase, okay. Basic meaning is to calm and quiet down all the mental chatter, so it's internal, to further the state of emptiness, to maintain sincere quietude, or stillness is probably better, all right? Quietude just means, you're quiet, there's no sound, etc. But stillness is that the mind is not just no sound, but it's still, it's unperturbed, okay? All right, deeper meaning of soul, it's this, single-minded, undivided concentration, okay, or attention, you can say, 专一不二, okay? Then there's a deeper meaning to jing, to not let a single thought arise, okay? So that's the real stillness, okay? All right, so you have to not let a single thought arise and to let go of all karmic affinities. So that's everything, right? That's what Buddha taught. I mean, that's what true emptiness is, or true detachment, right? Okay, so that's what it encompasses. Okay, so there's a deeper understanding of this second phrase. It's the single-minded concentration with the utmost sincerity reaching that level. It's kind of awkward. It's just means that you are true. You have a true, that's your true purpose, okay, or real purpose, all right, of not having a single thought arise, okay? So, okay, so that's what that means. And then the first phrase is what? All. So within, internally, that's the second phrase, right? That means you're empty of everything in your mind, that is, okay? I mean, probably there's even no mind at that point, okay? You don't have that distinction. Then the first phrase is external, right? Everything is empty. So that's the true emptiness, right? Okay, there's no outside, inside, but in this case, we separate the two, okay? All right, okay, where are we? Okay, right here. So there's another understanding of the second phrase, which is, now, the first phrase, the first level of understanding between two phrases, we're talking about the grand scale, the overall, right? There's emptiness outside, inside, we taught that. It's actually all empty, okay? But then how does that idea, is relevant to us, right? So we have this Buddha nature, right? All of us. Yes, Buddha nature is in the cosmic void too. But what does that have to do with me or you? So we have that Buddha nature, okay? And so we have to merge entirely, be at one, if you will, with the entire cosmic void. That's what that second phrase, okay, the higher level meaning, okay, higher level meaning. All right, there's another understanding to this phrase, 守静. It's the way of Earth, Earth's nature, is to maintain the true constant, 守真常, which is that stillness that allows growth. Okay, I'll get to the Qing Jing Jing. I'll make a reference to Qing Jing Jing later, similar to that. Okay, I think. All right, so the first phrase is talking about the way of the heaven. Okay. Right. Okay. So that's empty. It's just empty. From emptiness comes everything. Right. Okay. So that's that idea. Okay. The higher level meaning. Okay, or understanding. Whereas the second phrase is not talking about the heavens. So I say within this empty or the formless. Right. The true emptiness. There is this, where is that? The objects, the things, i.e. of the earth in this case. But it is still, okay? And with that stillness that allows everything to grow, flourish, okay? It has that cycle, the growing, the development, aging, and then ending, and then it repeats. That's the key. Okay, it's going to keep repeating, just not one cycle. And we see that, right? I mean, okay, you see that with humans, right? You see your grandparents, right? They're very old. You see your child growing up, right? So we see that, but that's also part of the entire physical phenomena. Okay, we see the 4 seasons, right? It repeats, right? There's 4 seasons. Of course, unless you are at the extreme, polar regions or on the equator. Okay, but generally speaking, right? There's the 4 seasons, and then you observe the cosmos, the skies. You see the birth of stars. And then the ending of stars as a nova or a red giant or neutron star or as a black hole, right? So it applies, right, throughout the phenomena. So now we're talking about, but Lao Tzu is separating the two. He's just saying heaven and earth. So that's, the yin and yang, okay? All right, the earth is the yin, the heavens is the yang. Okay, so it's just saying that this is the overriding, you can say, nature, okay, of this cosmos. Okay, now here's where I was going to say the implications. Okay, so first one, the way of heaven is not a true void. If the way of heaven is not a true void, then the innate qualities of all things will be false or untrue. Okay, all the innate qualities of everything internally will not be real. Right. So if it's not a true void, this is maybe it takes a leap. Okay. So then that means everything will be an illusion. That's another way of saying, or illusion. Yeah, it'll be false. Okay. So that's very important because it comes from that true formless. Remember the empty, the true emptiness of the formless. So that's covers everything. So if that is not true, if that is not true emptiness of the formless, then everything that we see, the qualities of everything, it's all illusion. Okay, so that's very important understanding. The second part, or the complement, is if the way of the earth is not still, okay, then there will be no life force for all things. All things in this world follow a cycle of growth, development, and ending. The good example for this is if you are a gardener, for example, you take the seed, right? Okay, take the seed, and then you put it in the soil, and then you add all the other elements, water, sunlight, maybe fertilizer, etc., etc., etc. And then you watch it, something's going to come out, grow from that seed. Now, you have to leave it alone. Leave this, what you call that thing, the tiny, say sapling, but it's that growth, okay, that you just leave it alone. Let it go its way. And it eventually, what? If you leave it alone, let it continue to grow, etc., then it'll turn into a bigger plant or even a tree. Okay, we can't. On the other hand, if it's not still, if we don't leave it alone, we keep tugging at it or trimming it, then I'll tell you what, it's not going to grow into a bigger plant or that. So that's the idea. That's what's meant by the still. Okay, holding on to that stillness. You just leave it alone. Let it take care of itself. Okay, that's what it means. All right. So the key point is the ultimate emptiness. Okay, that's the true emptiness, the true form, or the formless, if you will, is the axis or hub of creation. And true stillness, that's the way of the earth, okay, is the root for the endless growth of all things. So by attaining emptiness and holding to the stillness, that's what the translation of the first line, right, is what? To return to our original nature, that is, to our Buddha nature essence that has no beginning nor ending, okay? So, at the high level, the grandest level, yeah, that's what this is. The hub of creation and the root of, endless growth. Okay, ceaseless growth or cycle, of the growth, flourishing or development, aging and ending, that constant cycle, non-stop, okay, cycle of that. Okay, it's that. But what is that relevance to us? Okay, it's that we too have something similar or parallel, okay, to this. That is, we have a true nature that's what? Eternal, endless, and that could actually encompass the entire cosmic void also, like that true emptiness, right, or the ultimate emptiness. Okay, so we, what Lao Tzu, why he observed the cosmos or the heaven and the earth, and he realized that, we too, as humans, also have the same, it's the parallel. We are a microcosm of this heaven and the earth. And so we too also have to do the same. Make sense? Right? So that's okay? So that's what it means. All right. So that's the first sentence or phrase. Okay. By the way, this chapter has 3 sections. So we're still in section 1. Okay. Kind of like the proposition, the section, you can say intro section. Okay. All right. Second sentence. The mirror things are all active. Okay. And I therefore watch their return. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. This is where it's the second sentence that we can define what that return means. Okay. So the first word, first 2 words just means all things. Okay. Literally 10,000, but that's not a good translation. But anyway. Okay. Just now, right here. Sorry. Okay. This is used a lot in Tao Te Ching, by the way. Okay. It's already used several times now. Okay. All right. The third word, bing. In this case, it's an adverb or an adjective. That's all. Okay. All right. So it's all, equal, both. Okay. 做 now. 做. Okay. It could be a verb and a noun. It just means act. Something that's I translate as active, or it's been translated. It just means that something, it's doing something, okay, or it's growing, making. Okay. It could be also a noun, an author's works. Okay. That's the 做. Okay. Or poets, works. Okay. Writings, etc. All right. Okay. Then the first word of the second phrase, 吾, that's an ancient usage for I, we, us. Okay. You'll see a lot of this in the scriptures, sutras. Okay, because that's the ancient. They say archaic use. Okay. Today, nobody uses this word to say me or I. Okay, or we. Okay. This is or you can say it's a formal term to ancient. Okay. All right. The second word, just means according to, so it's it's an adverb or preposition. Okay. All right. Okay. The third word, 观, it means to observe, a verb. Okay. To watch at. Okay. That's the same as the 观音. Okay. I think it's this 观. Yeah. Use this 观. Okay. It could mean appearance, which is a noun, but I think it's a verb this case. Yeah. Okay. Qi means it, it's. Okay. It's a pronoun. Okay. Pronoun. Okay. The last word, 复. It's a verb in this case. It means to return, to repeat, to restore, to revert to resume, to turn over. It could be a noun too, but okay. It means answer or reply, but okay, in this case it's a verb. All right, so the basic meaning of the first phrase is existence is rooted in Tao. That's what this phrase means, okay? All things thrive, grow and develop while alive, right? While it's active, okay? All right. Okay, then there's another meaning. It's that all things in this physical world continuously grow without end. Okay, that end, it represents the endless cycle of birth, or death, or rebirth. So from looking at the physical phenomena, at the grand scale, there's a beginning and end, growth, and then eventually ending, okay, in all things, in nature, we say, right? But it also applies to us. So this is what samsara for our term, okay? All right, so that's what this represents. Okay, then there's a deeper understanding of the first phrase. Okay, this is more. Originally, the appearance of all phenomena are manifested, all within our Buddha nature essence. Okay? But all the phenomena do not last, right? They only, they have a short duration. Okay, I mean, it varies, but from the Buddha nature perspective, they're all like, a fraction of a second. Okay, all right. So all have a very short duration, emerging from emptiness, from our Buddha nature, coming into existence, then returning to emptiness. Thus, all things and matters have a cycle. Okay, so that's kind of like, following the idea from the first line that we talk about, that there's a cycle, right? Okay, so same. Now, this is a little bit more specific because he's talking about 万物, right? All things, right? Okay, all right. Okay, so that's the first phrase, okay? So just means that all things come into existence in that cycle, but they all last very short time. Okay, that's pretty much the idea. All right. Then the second phrase, okay, which is to observe their return, which is to observe the cycle, okay, here, all right? So to observe the cycles of nature from beginning to ending, should be ending is better, okay? All right. From birth to death or life to death. Okay. To sages observe the cyclical functions of human interaction, karma, okay, which is due to cause and effect. There's a cause and effect. All things are created. There's a cause for that. And all things have ended. There's also a reason for that. So it's cause and effect, causality. Okay. Now, fu, okay, this is very important. The definition, right, that we say it's to return, right? Which is true, okay, which means to return, to go back to that. That's true. But interestingly, I don't know if you guys seen the lecturer Liu's notes in one of his classes. We just talking about chapter 16. You know, he drew out the 64 hexagrams of the I Ching, or the Book of Changes. Okay, the I'm not going to go into it. It's another separate topic. It gets very complex. Okay, but there just so happens there is a hexagram called Fu. Yeah, you know that? There's a hexagram. Okay. Which hexagram is it? It's the 24th hexagram. Okay, so, you know, if you guys have a chance, you guys can look up, you know, the Tao Te Ching, you know, the text, the book, and it will list all 64 hexagrams, you know, in order from the, you know, so what order? You know, the first hexagram would have 6 solid lines. Okay, so that's called the Qian hexagram. It means male too, but it just means yang. Okay, I mean, it represents Qian. Okay, so six solid lines. Okay, stacked on top of each other. Six levels. Yeah, 6 lines. Then the second hexagram would be 6 broken line, or dash line. Is that what you call it? Dash, right? You know, instead of one solid, you know, horizontal line, in the middle, there's a gap. Okay, so I call that a dash. Okay, dash line. So there's 6 of them stacked on top of each other. Now, we count in I Ching, the way they say 卜卦, that means to, like to create a hexagram. You start from the bottom, and then you work your way up 6 levels to the top. Okay, that's how it goes. Okay, there's a reason for that. I don't want to get into it. It's kind of complicated, but anyway, all right. So it's the 6 broken lines. It's called the Kun hexagram, Kun Gua. Okay, so that's the second. Then they do variations or permutations. Maybe that's a better term, of the broken and the unbroken, or the solid and the dash lines, to create the next 62 to make 64. Okay, and that's the total possible permutations. Wow. Okay, so it's a lot, but here there happened to be a hexagram that represents the Fu. Okay, it's the 24th hexagram, which is represented by this. Okay, so you notice, right? Because I'm using Word, it doesn't work as well here, but it's 6 rows. Yeah, right, 6 rows. So the top 5 are dash lines. Okay, broken lines. So that represents yin. All right, sorry, I've done dash. A whole solid line represents yang. The dash line represents yin. Okay, so the opposites, right? These are opposites. And then the first line, it's a solid line. So it has 1 yang line at the bottom. Okay, or the first position. So this full hexagram represents the winter solstice. So if you go to the I Ching, you know, any I Ching text or translation, this full hexagram would represent winter solstice, by the way. Yeah, winter, which is what? What's winter solstice? the peak of winter, right? The height of winter, right? And then because everything, well, from seasonal point of view, everything after winter solstice means what? That the winter is getting shorter, or, going to end, right? It's, right? It's like okay, let's look at from time, from night and day perspective or angle. The winter solstice theoretically, what does it mean? Astronomy wise, okay, it represents what? The longest night, right? Longest night, right? So, well, at least in the temperate zones, obviously. Well, to some degree, it's true at the polar regions too. Okay, not so much true in the equator regions or equatorial regions. Whenever whether it's the northern or southern hemisphere, whenever the winter solstice happens, that's the time of day, or that's the period where the night is the longest and the day is the shortest. What I mean by night and day means when there's light or sunlight and when there's no sunlight. Okay, that's what it means, right? So when I think it's December 20 something, I forgot, it's winter solstice, right? Okay, well, this is winter because that's what this hexagram represents. But then there's the opposite, which is the summer, okay, which would be, well, I don't have it here, but it just means that that's the longest day. And that's, I think it just passed, right? A month or so ago, 2 months ago, sorry. Okay, all right, but in this case, we're talking about the full hexagram, which is the height of winter, the beginning of the end of winter, and the current year cycle. Okay, and the beginning of another year. Okay, so how the hexagram progression will work is the next hexagram will be a solid line above that, and that, and it jumps through different permutations before you reach the full 6 solid lines. Okay, so that's how the progression in the I Ching works. Okay, so but the point is you see a solid yang line at the bottom. That just indicates, that's the start of the new cycle or another cycle, because the hexagram prior to this would be the yin hexagram, which would be all 6 broken or dashed lines. Okay, all right, so the one yang line represents a beginning. Okay, 一阳开始. So the winter solstice is the start of a return to a new year. Okay, so this in the Tao Te Ching, Lao Tzu used this word or verb, in this case, 复. You can link, I guess, to the I Ching hexagram, which has the same name. Okay, 复, and that's what it means. Okay, right? Okay, so that's what it means. Okay, so it's the start of a new cycle or new season, if you want to say. Okay, all right. Whew. So the higher understanding of the second phrase is this: is we observe our return to our original nature. So this is at the individual level, whereas here, Lao Tzu, in the grandest or largest scope level, it's talking about the entire cosmos, right? Or nature. Whereas then what is relevance to us? We too also have a true nature that we have to return to or go back to. Okay, it's just more complicated in the I Ching. They talk about the what's that? The direct translation would be 先天八卦 and 后天八卦. Okay, the 先天literally means earlier heaven, but what it means is it's the primordial, or you can say from the absolute. Okay, from the absolute realm to the relative realm, 后天, which is are, physical phenomena. Okay, so and they have the transformations, but it's like that. We have to do the same. Okay, from the physical phenomena, the whole 10, go back to the absolute. Okay, you can say to the Dharma Dhatu. Okay, using Buddhist terminology. Okay, from the Fanchen, or the physical realm, to the Dharma Dhatu, or from the realm of the form desires in this case, right, to that. Okay, now deeper understanding is to scrutinize the principle causally produced phenomena. To see the causally produced phenomena is to see the Dharma. To see the Dharma is to see Buddha. Okay, that's what Buddha had this quote. Okay, I don't know from which sutra. It's not in the Diamond Sutra. I tried to find it. It wasn't there. I think it may be from one of the other sutras. It's like I'm talking the Vaipaya sutras, such as Suragama, or those other sutras. All right, but it means to see all the causal effects of growth, where the essence of the growth that emerges is the Dharma. And to see that Dharma is to see Buddha, because what can grow, what can create growth, or allow growth, is our Buddha nature essence. Then only the Buddha nature essence can give rise to growth. Okay, so that's what that does mean. So it's like, it's, I guess in math you can say A to B, B to C, so therefore A to C. Okay, so similar. Okay, so in this case the Fa. Okay, I translate it here as Dharma. But think about it. I mean, Dharma could mean things too. Okay, that's another definition of Fa. Well, in Buddhist scriptures, but it doesn't mean that. In this case, it means teaching. So whenever Buddha spoke, okay, what do they speak? They don't chit-chat. Okay, they don't have casual conversations about whatever. Well, they certainly don't gossip. Whatever they speak is, we say, Fa. Okay, teaching in the sense. But what does that mean? Teaching. What is the teaching? What is teaching? Okay, or what are teachings? It's principles. Principles of the truth, of the absolute truth, or you can say from the true emptiness. Okay, principles. Make sense? Principles. So when Buddhas, I'm talking about Buddhas, not sentient beings. Okay, when Buddhas speak, you can say they speak the truth, the Fa, the principles. Okay, right? So that's what they do. Okay, so what does the principles embody? The principles embody all this. Yuan Sen. Okay, to see causality. Right? That's another principle. You can say universal law, right? Causality. All right. But also principles represent what? That we have a what? True nature, an absolute nature, an original nature, i.e. Buddha. Okay? Or representation, the essence. Maybe that's another pair. So what is the essence of the principles? Our Buddha nature, or the Buddha. Okay, so that's what this line means. Okay, or these two phrases. All right. So the implication: by not having any matters or things within our minds, by clearing out our minds entirely of all matters and things, then it will be easy to return to our eternal Buddha nature essence. It's similar to the letting go of attachments, like go of the 8 stages, Ba Tiao Mu of the Great Learning, chapter 1, verse 4 to 5. Okay? All right, you guys can look it up. It's parallel. Okay, similar idea. Okay, so the key point of this second line is by observing all the cyclical nature of all phenomena, it allows us to understand the emptiness of all phenomena. Why? What I mean by that? Because they all come and go, right? Right? They're causal, they're dependent, right? It's called dependent origination. Okay, everything is dependent. Okay, but so within this phenomena, this cycle, if you will, we have to maintain the pure stillness within us. Okay. Okay, so even though everything is moving around us, our bodies are moving, could even be moving, doesn't matter. But our minds have to be still, perfectly still. So that's the essence. You can say the ultimate skill of cultivation. Okay, all right. When I mean still, means no single thought, right? Letting go of all karmic affinities. No three poisons, no attachments, no ego, no four marks, none of that. Okay, that's what the pure stillness represents. Now that's in the Qing Jing Ji. Okay, the Sutra of Purity and Stillness. Okay. Yeah. Shoot. Okay, I'm trying to reference. Okay, to what? Okay. Hold on 1 second. Okay, just to make sure. Okay, oops, how come I can't see it? Okay, yeah, it's, can you guys see this? No? This is the Qing Jing Jing. Okay, it's right here. Okay, all right. Okay, the heaven, well, it's pure in this case. The earth is impure. Heaven moves and the earth is still. Okay, so it's in chapter 2, section 2. Okay, all right. Okay, okay, all right. Now the third. Well, we're still in section 1. Okay, the last part of section 1, intro. Okay, so everything flourishes. Each returns to its root. Okay, so this is a little bit more specific from the second line. Okay, all right. Okay, the second, he's just observing, saying, "Oh, everything is, it's moving in cycles, right?" Okay, and I could see that going from one phase to the next phase, to return, right, to go back. Okay, it's a cycle. Now, here he's saying that. A little more specific, or another way of saying what he just said in the second line, the line of birth. Okay, all right. So let's do line by line. Okay. So fu means it's a pronoun. Okay, it's in ancient use. This, that, he, she, that. Okay. Third and fourth, yun yun means diverse and varied, numerous. Okay, whatever. Okay, it just means a lot, different types, different varieties. You can say almost countless. Okay, the second phrase. Let's go quick. Okay, it's each. Okay, that's another pronoun. Okay, the second word is to return. Also similar to fu, but I mean it's as a verb, it's essentially the same meaning. It just means to go back, to revert to. Okay, it could mean to convert, to come together, but there is no hexagram of that name here. Okay, so that's interesting, right? Okay, there's no. Okay, it doesn't correspond to a hexagram. Okay, the last word gun means root, literally. Okay, origin, source, foundation, cause. Okay, so the basic meaning of the first phrase of the sentence there is all things thrive while alive. There are numerous various things throughout phenomena. Okay, that's basic meaning. The deeper, and this is what I just showed you on chapter 2 of the classic of the purity and stillness, is that all the diverse variety things are possible because of the stillness, which is the nature of earth, right? Or the way of earth, you can say. Okay, 地自道. Okay, 受尽. Remember, this is from the first sentence, first line, second phrase, first line. So remember, movement is to heaven as stillness is to earth. 天动地静. The origin, source, results flow and mirror things are created. Okay, that's from chapter 2 of Qing Jing Jing. Okay, we just saw it. I think we just saw it, right? Okay, I think we just saw it. Oh, yeah. Wait, sorry. Where is it? Here. Okay. Yeah, here. Okay, I skipped this portion, but it's okay. All right. Okay. All right. So the basic meaning of the second phrase is existence is rooted in Tao. That emptiness, right? That true emptiness. But eventually, all return to the Tao upon death, okay, or upon the ending, okay, end of the cycle. So this applies to everything: people, objects, events, situations, the cosmos, even. Okay, all right. That's the basic meaning. The deeper meaning is this: to return to the source, awaken, okay, and revert to the original nature. To where we come from. Yeah, you can say that. Okay, all right. The higher understanding is, now that's the line above, that's generic, that's general. Okay, that's the general case. In the specific case or narrow scope, it applies to us too. We have to return back or go back to our Buddha nature essence. We should not be attached or cling to this physical body. Okay, Lecture Lu often says, and this is especially true throughout history among the sages, or so in his lecture, he raised the story of Sen Guang, the second Zen patriarch of Buddhism in China after Bodhidharma, after he received the mandate from him. He basically said, and you guys can look it up. By the way, among all the patriarchs, of the Tao, or sages, there are many, right? At least in our Tao, we have 64, right? 64 patriarchs in the green, red, and white, okay, era. and then in other religions, they have, you can say Jesus, the founder of Christianity, Muhammad, the founder of Islam, etc., etc. Not that many sages or enlightened beings, when they die, quote unquote, perish, they don't usually die in a very, how can I say, sad way or tragic manner. Jesus, right? He got nailed on cross, so that's very tragic, right? And that's generally not normal or not typical, right? So Sen Guang, the second patriarch, you know how he perished, right? We should all know the story, right? You know how, right? He didn't die, quote unquote, a typical normal death. Like, for example, sixth patriarch, right? He died while, giving classes, in the monastery, right? That's how he passed, which is more, quote unquote, normal, typical, right? I hope, we don't die in a plane crash, or, or drown, or whatever, in a fire, in a disaster. Most of us would, prefer, right, to, at least in our last moments when we leave, we leave quietly, normally, not under some extreme circumstance or situation, right? That's pretty typical, or you can say average, normal. Sen Guang, he got beheaded by the emperor. Yeah, okay, so he and okay, now when he, was, I guess, jailed, before his execution, he wasn't nervous, he wasn't scared or fear, for his life, because he already attained the Tao. He's, or you can say, enlightened. Okay, so there's a phrase, but I don't want to. I don't have it here because of space and stuff. But basically, it means that when he said I think the Chinese is 江头凌白刀独如正春风. I think that's his phrase. It just means I'm going to be beheaded, 江头, beheaded by a sword, or and he says it's like a 震 means a shock. You can say a shock of spring breeze. Okay, 春风, spring breeze. So it's like, even though he's going to be beheaded, which for most of us, it's a scary thought, right? It's a fearful thought. But he likened it as, it's like a spring breeze, like a gentle spring breeze. Why was he able to say that? Because he was not attached, no longer attached to his physical body. He's at a higher level plane, if you will. He was looking at it from the Buddha nature perspective. He understood this physical body is going to come and go, right? Has a beginning and an ending, just question of time and how, etc. But that's not important. The most important is that how can I say? He's at one. His Buddha nature is at one with the entire cosmos. So that's from remember when I said the way of the earth, it's natural that things are going to come and go, have a beginning and an ending, birth and death, etc., etc. So there's no attachment to that. That's a very natural cycle, if you will. All right. So therefore, what is there to fear, right? Well, you understand? Okay. What is there to fear? What is there to be scared about? Okay. Because he understood, or he's at that Buddhist nature level. He's seeing everything. You can say he's understanding, viewing, observing everything from this Buddha nature level. That that's no big deal. That's the way things are. Okay, that's the natural cycle of phenomena of everything. But his Buddha nature from the beginning. He has no fear. There's just nothing to fear because he is what I don't say exists, but he's present. You can say present everywhere. The entire cosmic void. Okay, it's his Buddha nature. Okay. So that's why. That's the difference between enlightened beings when they are facing quote unquote death. Okay, versus sentient beings. Sentient beings, we go crazy, right? We get excited, we get nervous, etc., right? We get worried to death, saying, I'm gonna die. Why? Because they're not seeing it from the Buddha. They haven't discovered their Buddha nature. They're seeing everything from the physical reality, from the physical dimension, which is, I have this physical body. It's so precious. I better keep it, maintain it, prolong it as long as possible. Right? Yeah? Okay. So that's the difference between sentient beings versus sages or enlightened beings. Enlightened beings understood. Jesus, when he was about to die on the cross, the night before, I think he prayed, right? There's a chapter in the Gospels, right? He asked God, he wanted to know why, right? Why, he's only 33 years old, not that old. And, he just started teaching the Gospels. Why now? It seems, bad timing. And, right? And what has he done to deserve death? But because he was enlightened, he didn't fear for his physical, body, right? But he just wanted to understand, why now or why then? Okay. Anyway, so but so when he, was going to be nailed on the cross, when he talked to his disciples, he didn't fear, say, you got to protect my physical body, blah, blah, blah. None of that, right? So anyway, All right, so I'm sorry I took up more time, but this is important, all right? That's an important perspective, okay, to understand, to know. Okay, so the implication is this. In our cultivation, our mind should not have things or any affairs, should not have anything. Let our Buddha nature merge with the entire cosmic void as one. Let it return to a state of complete purity and stillness. The greatest fault people in society is that our mental state, unfortunately, is dispersed, or you can say tainted, disturbed by the external phenomena. Okay, all right. So the key point: after returning to a state of complete purity and stillness, it will be easy to go back to the Buddha nature essence, because that's what it is. Okay, all right. Okay, now we're done with section 1. Let's go to start section 2. Okay, it's also 3 sentences, or I think 6 phrases. Okay, so returning to the root is called tranquility. Tranquility is called returning to one's nature. Okay, so that's where the title of this chapter, because that's the whole main, you can say the main theme of this chapter. Okay, he's describing, and then later on he'll in section 3 he'll describe the step by steps, or yes, stage by stage, if you will, or phase by phase. Okay, all right. So this word, third word, yue, means to say. Okay, it's found in chapter 1, I think, or is it chapter 2? Okay, the last word now, mean. Okay, could be a noun or verb. In this case, it's a noun. Okay, it could mean life, destiny, fate, like that. It can also be a verb. Okay, to mandate, to order. Okay, let's see. Okay, basic meaning of the first phrase. 归根越境, just returning to the Tao. It's to depart from noises, distractions, and mental or spiritual return to Tao. Okay. Okay, that's basic understanding. Okay, return to the root, because what is the root? The root is the Tao, right? Okay, so it's called being tranquil, right? In a state of stillness, if you will. Okay, because it's all empty, remember? Okay, the deeper meaning of the first phrase is this: our Buddha nature essence is able to return to the root, and that is the stillness. Okay, so that's what that's the tranquility. Okay, stillness. All right. Okay, the deeper understanding of the first phrase is this. Reverting to the Buddha nature essence means our minds are not soiled by a speck of dust, which is considered purity if it's not spoiled by anything. Okay, and do not have a single dot of rice, which is stillness. Okay, one says this is from the first section, same idea. Okay. All right. So so that's the first phrase. The second phrase is basic meaning means return to the real you, the true self beyond the physical body, right? That there is a true master. You say the soul, but it's not. The soul is too generic. It's not specific enough. But the specific is our true self, true nature, Buddha nature. Okay, all right. The deeper meaning is that at this state of stillness, we have already to return to our eternal originating nature, or Buddha nature state, okay, or essence. Okay, so that's what the fu mean. Okay, means it's at that you can say higher state of stillness. Okay, or unperturbedness. Okay, the higher understanding of the second phrase is to already achieve purity and stillness, then we could understand the growth, development, transformation of countless things. Okay, right? If we, like I told you of the story about Sangguang. So if you already achieve that level, that level of purity, when your Buddha nature is at one with everything, you're not tainted or contaminated with anything. Okay, everything is just that pure, Buddha nature essence, okay, that pure essence, okay, then you can see everything in the phenomenal world has a cycle, has a beginning and an ending, etc., etc. Okay, so you're not attached to those physical transformations or growth, development, etc., etc. Okay? All right. Okay. So implication. So no matter, okay, here's the big one. No matter whether it's mirror things or humans, so objects, inanimate, animate, okay, humans, to return to the original nature is the same, right? It means the same principle, right? All right? The way of heaven, the way of earth, etc. Okay? All right. To return, that is, to return to nature for countless things is so the mirrored things will not disappear from the soul. So that's at a broader level perspective, okay? So talking about all countless things go back to the beginning. Why? Because so they can repeat the cycle again, okay? So that's why they won't disappear. So we don't just witness, or if we're in this physical realm, just this one season, right? That's it, okay? Unfortunately for most of us who don't understand, we are so attached. We just say, we have this one life. And so it is precious in that respect. Yeah, we have this one. But actually, this is just one cycle of, countless cycles, right? We have infinite, infinite reincarnations, et cetera, okay? All right. Okay, so our return to nature is so we could revert to our original. Now, this is talking about specifically us. Okay, first, he's talking about on a grand scale. Now, on a narrow, personal scale, personal level, is so we could revert to our original nature. So after returning to the original state, our universe will be even more vast. We could be, including not just this chiliocosm. Okay, the actual translation from the Sanskrit is called Saha world or universe. Okay, in Chinese they call it Sapo Sijie. Okay, so that's a chiliocosm. Okay, but also countless and boundless Buddha worlds. Okay, Buddha worlds. In the Avatamsaka Sutra, Hua Yuan Jing, I think it's the first chapter represent. It's one of the chapters, maybe towards the end, I'm not so sure. But you talk about, they say there's 大日如来, Vairocana Buddha. That's another Buddha. Okay, he sat, or in his world, or according to the sutra, he was, I don't know, in a world or realm place where there was this huge, they call a lotus flower or lotus plant or whatever. They are petals, the lotus petals, they're kind of big, right? They're on top of the pond, the water. There are infinite number of petals. That's how big that lotus flower is or plant is. And each petal, according to the Avatamsaka or Vairocana, represents a Saha world or universe. Okay, or Sapo, where there was a Buddha residing in each Saha world. Okay, right. So the Saha world represents just one petal, in this metaphor. Okay, represents our universe. Let me qualify. Okay, there are different levels of the chiliocosm, once again. Okay, so different levels of Saha world. Okay, at the very lowest level or smallest unit, it's a solar system. Okay, that's one definition. Then there's 1,000 of this solar systems make up one medium. I think it's called a medium chiliocosm. And then 1,000 of the medium chiliocosms make up one large chiliocosm. Something. Okay, so there's the 3000大千世界. That's the Chinese translation. So the 3,000 worlds and 3,000 grand worlds. Okay, so anyway, so what I'm trying to get at is that every chiliocosm, okay, in this case, it's not the solar system. It represents a universe, or so it's like 3,000, 3,000, okay, or the one grand universe, or what has a Buddha. That's what the Avatar are. So once somebody asked me, and I think an American asked me a question, said, "Oh, how many Buddhas are there? Is there just Siddhartha Buddha 2,500 years?" Okay, yeah, he was a Buddha. Yes, that's true. But actually, if you use Avatamsaka Sutra, and even Buddha said it himself, there are infinite universes. Okay, just in this, I don't know, 4-dimension space, if you will. Okay, so there are also infinite Buddhas too. You know that? Okay, so it's not just one. Sakyamuni Buddha. Okay, actually, we're all Buddha or potential Buddhas. We all could become Buddhas. So how infinite sentient beings are there in the cosmos? Not just the Earth, but throughout the 2 trillion, 3 trillion plus galaxies that we could observe now. There are potentially more. Okay, so so there are potentially large number of sentient beings. So that's why, are there aliens? Yes, we call them aliens, but they would call us aliens. But anyway, okay. So there are also potentially infinite Buddhas too. Okay. So, all right, okay. All right. So the key point: our Buddha nature transcends beyond all the karmas and all of nature. Very important. Okay. 所有的因缘跟所有的自然 it's above, it transcends, it's beyond it. So the Buddha nature does not fall into karmas nor into nature. That's very important. Who falls into karmas? We say, I'm born, because of karma. So I have a Buddha nature. So therefore, my Buddha nature falls into karma. Wrong. That's a misunderstanding. Okay. What falls into karmas is our human nature, our desires, our previous, actions and thoughts. That's not the Buddha nature. The Buddha nature doesn't have those previous thoughts and actions, etc., or desires or attachments. The reason why we fall into karma, it's generally speaking for 99% of us, is that there's a cause, okay, and that we come into being at this moment, or the cycle is the result of that cause. But that cause was previous in our previous existence, you can say, right? Due to attachments, etc., right? Okay, all right? Understand? So it's not the Buddha nature, okay, that falls under karmas or nature, okay? So there's neither a beginning nor an ending. That's very important, because if the Buddha nature does fall under karmas or the cycles of nature, then it has a beginning and an end, and that's not right. Make sense? All right. So the Buddha nature have always existed and will always exist. That's the original nature, the original state. Okay? That's very important. All right? Okay. Okay. We're still in section 2. Okay. All right. Let's go to the next phrase. Okay. Now, remember here he was talking about, right? This. Okay. He's introducing. All right. Then the stillness is called returning to the nature. Now, he's saying, then what is returning one's nature? It's called constancy. Now, this word used in Buddhism oftentimes means permanent. That's what it means. Eternal. Constant is the same thing, right? It means doesn't change. That the reason what permanent means, it means doesn't change. Its nature or its essence doesn't change. Okay, so that's what the Tang usually means. Okay, so the basic meaning of this phrase is that eternal existence is part of us. from a spiritual level. Obviously not the physical, but the spiritual. Okay? All right. So another meaning is after returning to the original nature, it is called constancy, which is the permanent changelessness. Okay. Okay. 无迁, 不迁. Okay. And non-transformation. Okay. 变化. Like I said, you can say it's unperturbed, it's changeless, it's timeless. Okay. It exists eternally. So that's timeless. So these are all, you can say, the qualities, traits of our Buddha nature. Okay? It's constant. Let's make it simple. We say it's constant. Okay? The deeper meaning, remember chapter 1 of the Tao Te Ching? I think it's the first, second, third, fourth line, chapter 1. He talked about 常有跟常无. Okay, always in existence, always in emptiness. It's merged together. That is our Buddha nature. That is the Buddha nature. So it's hard to describe. We say, yeah, it always exists, but it's formless. So it's intangible, right? Colorless, invisible, intangible, formless, right? That's chapter, I think, 13, right? But even though it exists, but it's formless, it's in emptiness, it's unperturbed, it's pure and still, right? Okay. All right. So it's similar to the oneness of essence and manifestations. Okay. 寂照同时. Manifestations always occur with the eternal, changeless essence. 照而常寂. The eternal essence is always present while in constant manifestation. 寂而常照. So it's all that, okay? That's our Buddha nature. So it's very amazing, okay? It's not just empty, but it exists. But even though it exists, but it's formless, it's intangible, it's colorless, okay? All right. So deeper understanding. To say it exists, but it's formless. So I said, so that's why it's hard to, quote unquote, scientifically prove. Okay, that's why we can't use science to say, oh yeah, here our Buddha nature exists, and here no, okay, it can't. So to say exists, it's formless because you can't. It's intangible, colorless. It's really unquantifiable, etc. Okay, but yet to say it's empty, but it actually exists. Okay. So it is permanent. It's not considered as part of existence nor part of emptiness. That is its infallible efficacy. So we talked about that in chapter, I think, 12 and 13, right? Okay. All right. Here's the another way of expressing. Okay. It's I think we talked about this in chapter 13. No, chapter 14. It doesn't matter. Okay. In order to understand the unfathomable, because there are the four propositions or the fourfold negations, 四解 or 拒绝. Okay. Not to abide in existence. Okay. So we say it exists, right? So some schools of thought during Buddha's time, usually it's called the eternalists or the Brahmas. They say, hey, it exists. We have a soul that always exists. So Buddha didn't respond to that, but he just said that's not really true. That's very extreme. Or it's empty. They're the nihilists, right? 虚幻主义, is that what they call that? 虚幻主义. It just means nothing exists. Okay, it's all vacuum. Okay, everything's a vacuum. So this life, this physical phenomena, they are all illusions. In some sense, that's true. Okay, in one sense. But it's also not true is because all things come into being also. So reality, or physical reality, if you want to call it, does happen. Okay. So that's another extreme, right? Okay, that's the nihilist. And then there's other group, not to abide, okay, it also exists. Another group says, oh, well, we have both. Yes, that's partly true. but not 100% true. Okay, so that's the advice. 不足以有疑空 also exist, also empty. Okay, and not to abide in non-existence and non-emptiness. 不足非有非空 neither existence, neither non or emptiness or non-emptiness. Okay, so that's the indescribable state. So actually our Tao or our Buddha nature, or it's this, it's all this. It's hard, right? So that's why it's hard to pin down. Okay, all right. So that's why they say it's unfathomable, indescribable, unimaginable, all that. Okay, at the conscious level, at the intellectual level, we can't imagine. Okay, all right. So the implication is by abiding in existence is to be attached in forms, just like the first group, okay, is to fall into forms, which then means it has a beginning and ending, right? Because all forms have a beginning and end. So that then means to enter into birth and death, which is not what we are pursuing or seeking, because it is always in the midst of transforming, where we are not able to hold on to which is transforming. Instead, we should hold on to the permanent non-transforming, which is to return. Okay, we should not fall into forms. It's because forms are always changing, right? It's impermanent, okay? All right, it's in the midst of change, okay? And we cannot hold on to that because it's always changing. So we say, oh, now. But then, a second later, it's no longer now. All right? Okay. And then, so a future, that, well, there's the next moment, then that's another future, okay, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. All right? So that's why it's always, we're chasing. You never reach it, okay? All right? Because everything, it's always changing. It's not static. Everything's dynamic. That's the physical realm, reality, right? So what instead we should be pursuing is to what? Pursue something that's non-changing, non-transforming, something that's always is, okay? It's changeless and timeless. That's our Buddha nature, okay? Like we talked about the Buddha nature trait earlier, right? Someplace up here? Yeah, okay. All right. All right, so, okay, here's the next phrase. Okay, so we talked about to return to one's nature, or yeah, you can say eventually it's the source. It's called constancy. Then he says to know the constancy is called clarity. Yeah. Okay, so he's going to the next stage, right? The next step, next stage. Okay, this means to know. Okay, yeah, it could mean knowledge too. Okay, so so it could be. It's usually a verb to be aware of, to comprehend. Okay, all right. Okay, and mean. Now, in this case, the mean. That's a lot of meaning, but in this case, it's. It could be an adjective, a verb, and a noun. That's the problem with these with the Chinese characters. Yeah, one word, multi uses. Multiple uses. That's what makes it more sometimes difficult to translate. Okay, so in this case, it's adjective or noun. It just means clear, clarity, distinct. Okay, it can be a verb, like I said. Okay, all right. So the basic meaning of this phrase is to know the eternal existence, right? That permanent state, or just the state of no change, non-transformation, no time, etc., right? Okay, is to see everything with clarity. Yeah, because you are at the highest level, you can say, right? Or you're at that one state of oneness. Okay, all right. So another meaning is this is the entire perspective, of our true nature. Okay, that's right. That's the true reality, you can say, or this ultimate reality. That's not to say there are other realities, namely relative reality, which is what we human beings, sentient beings, perceive in the physical phenomena. Okay, But this is the enlightened perspective or reality, which is the highest level, because that reality or that perspective from Yatha is from the state of what? Permanence, non-change. Remember, does not fall into karma, does not fall under nature or karma, etc. Whereas other, the lower realities or the relative realities that we human sentient beings perceive fall under karma, or karma means law, causality, okay, example, and also the nature, okay, the nature of this world, all right, okay, so our reality of a day is because it's the nature of this solar system where the earth spins, rotates, right? Rotates on its axis, and that defines the day. So that's the reality. But that reality is dependent on the earth, rotating on its axis, right? And the year, our reality for the year or the seasons, is because the earth rotates around the sun, right? So those are all relative, right? That's not absolute, because you could go to another cosmos or another universe where there are sentient beings living on a planet that, that's, 1,000 times bigger than Earth, right? So their day, their year would be different from us, right? Okay, so those are relative realities. But they all fall under what? Karma or causality and nature, right? Okay, so whereas our Buddha nature does not, right? That's very important, okay? So the deeper meaning of zicang is to know the permanent changeless and non-transient, okay? So that's the Buddha nature, you can say, the essence, okay? Deeper meaning of the mean, now it means, clarity or, clearness, is completely free of ignorance, to have total awareness, absolute awareness, okay? So that's, you can say enlightened state, okay? State of enlightenment. You can say, all right. Actually, there's another word to describe all this, if you want to know all this. Very simple word. It's also in use in Buddhism. I'm talking about Buddhism. Nirvana, okay? All right. Because nirvana is the indescribable state. That's this, okay? It's indescribable state. So you say it's because it's so, parallels, okay? All right, so nirvana is not when, yes, it has another meaning, which is a narrow meaning, which means, you pass away, from one existence to the next existence. That's also called nirvana, but that's not the meaning here, okay? All right. Whew, where are we? All right, okay. The higher understanding of the phrase, to be completely aware, or the enlightened state, is to know clearly. It's an illumination. Now this time it's guangming, okay? The manifestation of our innate divine wisdom. The moha bolo mi, okay? So that's the mahaprajna, okay? The mahaprajna, all right? That's the innate. That is from our Buddha nature, okay? You can say that's its function, its application, one of its applications, okay? It's application, all right? All right, of the Buddha nature, okay. Okay, here, deeper understanding. The changeless, unperturbed Buddha nature has already attained that level of our innate or radiance, okay? I don't know, in the Maitreya Sutra, I think Lecture Tai talked about it, that our Buddha nature is bright, right? I mean, it is. It's like a light. It's like, yeah, you can say it's light. It's bright. It lightens up or illuminates the 1,000-year dark room. Okay, that's the metaphor. Okay, it actually illuminates the entire cosmic void. Okay, if you really want to go to that level, that's the total absolute. Okay, so that's what it is. Okay, that our Buddha nature actually is illuminating. It's perfectly clear. It sees everything, knows everything, understands everything. Yeah, you can you can call it that. All right. Okay. All right. So the implication if we allow our minds to become aroused and have stirred thoughts, 起心动念, that's ignorance. That's called ignorance. Okay. So that means our mind, our human minds, are perturbed. Okay. Perturbed. So because to have an aroused mind and stirred thoughts, it's called non-awareness, or not, and non-awareness is ignorance. Okay. So that's the difference between awareness and non-awareness. Right? Remember we talked about it's completely aware. Our Buddha nature is because it's not Chang. It's actually all the way back to returning to our Buddha nature. Okay, actually it's even further. It's the Jing. Okay, it's this. It's that true stillness, or tranquility, etc., etc. Okay, pure, still, etc. Okay, it is that. That's what allows us to be perfectly aware, or completely aware, and not be perturbed. Okay, not have what? Aroused mind and stirred thoughts, etc. Because why? Aroused minds and stirred thoughts fall under nature. You know that? And karma. That's why it's ignorance. Okay, so that means we're not aware. Okay, we're not. You can say not enlightened too. Yeah, that could mean that too. Okay, 觉 could mean enlightened. Yeah, there are different levels of awareness. Also enlightenment too, by the way. Right, the enlightenment of the arhats are different from the enlightenment of the bodhisattvas, which are in turn are different from the enlightenment of Buddhas. Right? Okay, so but at least they're aware. They're not ignorant. Okay. All right. All right. So the key point. So to know constancy is called clarity, means we are also able to attain that radiance, that illumination. Okay. Brightness. Brightness is not a very good metaphor, but able to manifest our divine wisdom. That is the level of awareness or degree of enlightenment. Just a question of whether we're willing or not to achieve it, to pursue it. Okay. So that's why. All right. Now the next stage after that is he's talking about mean, right? Then what's also next? What's mean? It's called what here? Oh, sorry, it doesn't. We don't have it here. Oh, where we have it? Yeah. Okay. So as a matter of fact, we're at the end. Oh no, we're still. Yeah, we're at the end of second section. He's basically saying now, kind of like. Telling me what if we do not know constancy, then what's the result? Okay, so 不知常. Remember, he had 常 at the beginning of this section, right? Well, the previous statement, right? It says to know this, right? Okay. Which is this, right? Which is this, okay? So, all right. So he's saying, on the other hand, if we don't know, or if we don't realize what's constant, or what's the non-change, state of changelessness, what's the result? Okay, so this, so this means not to know. Okay, okay. The first word of the second phrase is. It means this. It just means, you can say it's delusion, okay, illusion. You can say, delusion. Yeah, you can say it's delusion. That's nonsense. It's all that, okay? Foolishness, false, okay? 凶, last word means, we say when somebody, when a dog 很凶, that means it's very, you can say fearful, ferocious, okay, could mean that. It just means trouble. Okay, we translate as trouble. It just means negative, bad, not good. Okay, all right, brutal. Okay, fearful. Okay, so the basic meaning of this phrase is to lose the enlightened perspective where we don't know our true nature. Right. So that's called the ignorance. That's what we call right here. Right, ignorance or non-awareness. Okay, right. To lose that, and so the enlightened perspective is where. From our Buddha nature, right? From that absolute reality, if you will, okay? Instead, if we all use relative realities or perspectives, then, that's when we get into trouble. Okay, that's when everybody's right, because everybody's coming from their own perspective, right? Their own realities, right? So everything's relative, right? Okay, so all right, so that's because we don't know our true nature. We're not seeing things, or we're not that level, right? Okay, of able to see and understand things or observe things or phenomena from our Buddha nature. Okay, so another meaning is this: we do not understand, not to know that there's an internal Buddha nature in mind. Okay, that we have a higher level, more than our conscious mind, i.e., the 5 skandhas. Okay, so the deeper meaning is to know consciously is that our conduct is world which do not conform to the true principles. Okay, so that's another meaning. Okay, all right. So not just to the internal aspect, just an external too. Okay. Another level, meaning higher level, not internal, is that not to know we have a constant, changeless, eternal Buddha nature. Okay, that just means, so that's ignorance too. Okay, we don't understand, we don't know, we don't realize, we don't recognize that we have an eternal essence. Okay, Buddha nature, right? Okay, now the second phrase is we cause problems for ourselves, ended up suffering in the material because we don't know that we have eternal Buddha nature. We see everything through our physical conscious mind. Okay, all right. So that's what we mean. Okay, so the deeper meaning means anything that's negative, like when you say bad, of ferocious or brutal, fearful. Okay, it just means that anything that's not good, negative. Okay. Now the deeper meaning of the second phrase is that because we're ignorant of our Buddha nature, so that we have that constant, true, eternal self, we end up having delusions, right? All our, human minds at work, okay? We end up having delusions. When acted upon, cause karmas. We follow, we pursue those delusions, right? We act upon them, right? Attachments, desires, 3 poisons, etc., etc. And guess what? That creates karma. But we don't know it, unfortunately, right? We don't understand, we don't realize it. So unfortunately, a lot of the karmas, or the causes of karmas, unfortunately, is we don't realize that we are we are creating the causes of karma, okay? All right, the higher understanding is anything that does not benefit sentient beings is called ominous. I call it ominous. It's not good, okay? It's dangerous. Ominous, yeah, it's a dangerous, perilous, okay? All right? So anything that does not benefit. Okay, so that extends to the external. So the first one is internal. Yeah, we have delusions. That's all internal within us, right? But we also interact with the external world. So therefore, when we act upon our delusions, we also do not benefit sentient beings. Okay, so that's danger. Okay, so the implication is this. It's basically this term. You can say that's dukkha, the dissatisfaction of craving, grasping, clinging. Okay, as in existence is dukkha from the first noble truth. Okay, because why? We don't know our eternal Buddha nature exists. Okay, we don't. Okay, so the key point is this: we have to conduct ourselves in accordance with our true nature. And we can manifest our innate conscience with knowledge, ability, and wisdom. Okay, so that's the 发挥良知良能. Okay, and then our actions will then conform to our Buddha nature, our true nature, and then it won't cause karma. Okay, so that's a practical aspect. Okay, all right. Now we're in section 3. So that's section 2. So now we're in section 3. Okay, so 知常容. Okay, so knowing constancy is accepted. Now, okay, we have to translate. What's the 容? 容 often means tolerance too. Or it could be a verb. Yeah, it could be a verb and a noun. Okay, so it means to allow, to hold, but also to accept. Okay, so I think tolerate is kind of narrow. Accept is broader. Okay, to accept, And I'll get to it when we talk about, as a matter of fact, it's the fourth bullet point down here. Okay, but anyway, the basic meaning is to be constant is to accept what? Our Buddha nature, our true self, to realize it, to actually to recognize, acknowledge it. Okay, that's what it means. Okay, so to know the constant, okay, or constancy, right? It's to literally to see, to recognize, to acknowledge, to see, to recognize, to feel it even. Okay, yeah, that's what the realization means. Okay, right? Okay, so the additional meaning of long is to be able to accept and tolerate all things, all affairs and things. Okay, and here's an example. That's the another understanding. Remember Maitreya? I think he's the only Buddha that, or at least the image, okay, the form of Buddha. He's the only one that has a large belly, right? I don't know of any other Buddhas that have a large belly like him. Okay, no, but there's a meaning behind that. Okay, it's why. It's his large belly means that he can tolerate and resolve however much trouble humans. 人容了解切人间多少事. And he's filled with joy. It's a 满腔欢喜, right? Laughing away all the worries of then and now. 笑开天下古今愁愁, right? Okay. Yeah, that's the phrase that we use to describe Maitreya. Or his, you can say his nature. That's how he is, okay? All right, so I think it's appropriate since we are doing in the other English class, the Maitreya Sutra, right? That's the Maitreya, okay? So he can tolerate and resolve whatever human troubles are, and yet he's filled with joy, laughing away all the worries of then and now. That's really what we should be like. Maitreya is, kind of like pointing out, kind of like hinting at when we are at one with our Buddha nature, that's exactly what we would be like. Yeah, pretty nice, huh? All right, okay. So that's the wrong. That's like at the higher level of meaning. Okay, deep understanding. We need to act properly. Don't do wrong. Don't do wrong. We do not give attention to what needs paying attention to, unfortunately. So we need to pay attention to our Buddha nature, or to understanding that Buddha nature. Unfortunately, we diligently pay attention who does not need attention. I gotta go see this movie. I gotta buy that clothes or shoes, or I gotta have that car, or whatever. Unfortunately, that's what we do, right? We're totally upside down, right? We don't understand that there's something beyond this physical reality, physical self, etc., etc., etc. Right? Okay. All right. The higher understanding, to know the permanent changes of Buddha nature, is to be able to have tolerance. Makes sense. Okay? Because it embodies everything. We talk about that in chapter 14. All right? Or 15, sorry, I think 15. Okay, the implication is this. When our human mind arises, when one not getting along with others, then the frictions will arise. That's all due to lack of tolerance, because we do not know constancy. Yeah. So next time, it's not easy. We always have to be very mindful, very disciplined, and then I'll talk about that later, but be constantly watchful or vigilant about our human mind. We have to be very careful. Now I'm talking about, this is the step-by-step. Obviously, if we are, at one, we know constancy, we are at that quote-unquote stage of awareness, level of awareness, then, naturally we would not have friction. We would have tolerance, just like Maitreya, okay? So that's the ideal state, right? That we all should strive to achieve, right? But between present, now, and then, there's there are steps, you can say. That's called cultivation, or, learning, cultivation, practice, okay? And so that's why we have to be mindful, okay? And then over time, people say, oh, well, how come I can't, immediately arrive at that level? Now, I'm not saying that we can't, okay? But it's very few, 6 patriarch was able to do that, among other people. I mean, but they're far and few. And then we ask, well, then God's unfair. Why is that true? Why are some people are like that and most of us are not? That's not because God isn't fair, okay? That's because we have karmas. Everybody's karmas are different. And that's the problem, okay? That's the problem. So because we have, at least been in this, reincarnated in this physical realm for, I don't know, thousands of times already, possibly, right? In this one cycle, okay? And so think of how much, karmas we've accumulated, right? So then, the deeper the karma, okay, it becomes our what? Habit, habitual nature, to be precise. It's that nature. And so therefore, the more difficult it's to achieve you can say achieve enlightenment or okay. So we have to work at it, level by level, stage by stage to, rid ourselves of that habitual nature. It's like a drug addict or, smoker or alcoholic, etc. If we're not a drug user, not an alcoholic, not a smoker, some of us have the attitude say, oh, well, why can't you just cold turkey quit? It's not easy. Until you are a drug addict, until you are an alcoholic, until you are a smoker or heavy smoker, 3-pack a day or more, it is difficult to understand, how challenging it is. Right? I mean, that's fact, right? So we should be mindful, right? So, so we should not, assume that, oh, it worked for me, so it worked for everybody else. We have to be careful, okay? Or what I perceive is the true reality and everybody else doesn't matter, right? So that's also tolerance, okay? That's to put yourself in another person's shoes. No, I don't have that phrase here, but anyway, I think that's mentioned in Lecture Loose Notes. Okay, so the key point is with tolerance, all matters can be resolved. Everything can be absorbed or accepted, right? Remember we talk about acceptance here, right? Okay, so, all right, so that's the key point of this phrase. Okay, then the next phrase. So to know constancy is acceptance. Then what is to know acceptance or to have acceptance? Is what? Acceptance is impartiality. Okay. Gong. Yeah, there's a lot of meaning behind this too. Just like there's a lot of meaning behind it. Okay. Nai is an archaic use. It means to be, so. It could be a verb. So to, is in this case. It can be an adverb. That's an adverb, right? An adjective. Okay. Last word, gong. Okay. It has a lot of meaning. It could mean common, general, collective, public. It could mean fair, impartial, just, unbiased, unselfish. Okay, so gong would be the opposite of si. Okay, which I think I'll talk about later. Okay, but anyway, si. Okay, selfish. So it means lots of things. So basic meaning is being able to look at the world with projection power or without bias. Okay, that's very basic level, very basic. Or another meaning, to see things clearly leads one to accept reality. Okay, that's the acceptance side, right? The acceptance we see. You understood that everything happens due to karma or due to causality. So, that's the way it is, right? So we have to accept that reality because, okay, all right, that's basic. Okay, now here's a deeper understanding or meaning of the gong. To be able to manifest everything without selfishness or non-self. That's actually one trait of our Buddha nature. Understand? Okay, so we want to, be able to do that, okay? All right. Another understanding. Everything is in accordance with true principles. Yeah, yeah, you can say, yeah. Okay, everything follows some principles. So, it's also, this is another way of saying everything is causality or created by causality, or is a result of causality. So it's in accordance with causality. Okay? That's another way. That's another way of understanding. Okay. A little bit broader. Okay. Now, the deeper understanding is that tolerance, okay, which is, we say, an acceptance, and impartiality of the true principles and self-interest mutually conform with each other. Okay. What would be a good way, another way of saying this is, it's like, I don't want to say they complement, but they kind of like mirror each other. Okay. So in mathematics, it's called like corollary. They have theorems or postulates and corollaries. So like, you have two postulates or axioms that are corollaries to each other. Okay. So it just means that they kind of mirror each other. They don't, in other words, another way of saying this, they don't contradict each other. That's maybe another way of saying, okay, using the opposite. Okay. So that's why tolerance and partiality, you can say, go together. Right? Okay. That's another way of saying. All right. Okay. So tolerance is impartiality. They are linked together. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So the key point of this phrase is, after knowing tolerance, we will be able to return to the unbiased true principles. Okay? Yeah. Okay. All right. Okay. So that's what it is. So we have to have tolerance or acceptance. Okay? All right. So that is then part of this. Okay? Or is this. Okay? So without this, we're not going to get, without acceptance or tolerance, we're not going to get this. Okay? All right. Okay, then what is then impartiality? Okay, impartiality is sovereign or kingly, because this word literally means king. Okay, king, monarch, royalty, etc. Okay, but the basic meaning is this: impartiality is the first step to take charge of one's life and allow one to be the master of one's destiny and fulfill the heavenly mandate. Okay. That's very basic. Yeah, I mean, it's not wrong, but it's okay. All right. But here's a deeper meaning of what the king means or monarch means. It's the Tao. He's talking about the Tao, not about the person. Okay. That, if we are impartial, then we could become a king. I mean, that's you can say that's part of the basic. Yeah, if we're a wise ruler, right, you have to be impartial. Solomon, right, King Solomon, that's a good example, right? Okay, yeah, but that's not, that's very superficial. Okay, what is the higher level meaning that Lao Tzu was getting at is that the king is really, I want to say it's us, but it's the Tao. He's talking about the Tao right now, but it also applies to us. But it's the Tao. It's the Tao that penetrates the three realms. What are the three realms? Now that's in Buddhism, okay? Now, I think in Taoism, they would say Tian Di, and I guess the underworld or the other world, okay? So, okay. But in Buddhism, it's the realm of desires, forms, and formless, right? Anybody know what they are, right? Right? The 10 Dharma realms. This is the lower, I think the lower three, right? The lower three. Okay? Okay. So the Tao that penetrates the realm. So it's Tao Guan Tong San Jie. It's called the king. What does that mean? Because the word for the king is composed of the word three. That's what this is. 3 lines. That means 3, which means the 3 realms. Okay? Then there's a vertical line, right? In the king, right here. A vertical line, right? Oh, what does the vertical line mean? It's the, where are we? The word for king is composed of the word 3, which means the 3. And then the vertical line, the center word for the king, it means 中间有一个一. Okay, there's a 1, vertical 1. This one is the Tao. So the Tao permeates or penetrates through the 3 realms. So, So he's not talking about the, king, the physical king, in the physical realm. He's talking about that, this impartiality, remember, which is based on acceptance and then constance, right? Okay, constancy. That's the Tao. The Tao is that. As I said. Okay, all right. So the higher understanding is, so one who's a king. Now he's talking about us. Now at a personal level, is one who transcends the three realms. Tao penetrating the three realms is called the king. Okay, all right. So we're actually all kings. You know that. Okay, so because we all receive the Tao, right? We know the three treasures. So actually, we are all kings. Interesting, yeah. Okay, so the deeper understanding of the king is the second half of the sage's innate virtues. It's called the Nei Sen, an external moral conduct, Wai Xing. So it's called Wai Wang. All the external things. So a sage has, at least this is in Great Learning, Confucian classic. Okay, is that there? We have those 8 virtues, right? The 8, eight virtues of a superior being. Okay, so the first 4 are called innate virtues. Okay, just an internal and external, and then the external is the Wai Xing, the conduct is the Wai Wang. Okay, so that Wang, that king, also means yes. Besides the Tao, besides us being kings, we also have this external, moral conduct, or external, okay, or manifestation, right? Okay. All right. So further understanding is when our inner mind has reached stages level of cultivation, that just means that's what this impartiality is sovereign. That we are at that level. We have reached a level of, it's like the equal level of what a sage is. Okay. So the implication is the inner virtues of the Tao can penetrate. Yeah. All right. Okay. The 3 virtues. Okay. So then the key point is one who is able to have impartiality, then the Tao permeates the 3 realms. Okay. Actually, it goes back to all the way to constancy, but okay. So, all right. So what is, okay. So we better have impartiality. Okay. You can say non-bias. Actually, another way of saying this is duality. Okay, we cannot be dualistic. Then being dualistic is definitely not a sovereign. Definitely does not transcend the 3 realms. Okay, all right. So we cannot have duality. Okay, so that's the 8 winds, right? The Ba Feng, all that, the 3 poisons, all that, the 4 marks, right? The ego, etc., etc. Okay, so that's what it is. So that's another understanding. Okay, so impartiality, you can say it's non-duality, because that's what our Buddha nature is. It's non-duality or non-dualistic, right? All right, then that's a king. Okay, that's what's called. It's a sovereign king. Okay. So what is a sovereign? What is a king? He says the king is heaven. Yeah, okay. So 10, has many meanings, but it's usually celestial, heaven. And it could be adjective and a noun. Paradise, it can mean paradise. It can mean a day, sky. Okay. All right, the basic meaning is this. Acting in accordance, naturally in accordance. That means, when I say naturally, it means it's wu wei, okay, just is, okay, without non-conditioned. You can say non-conditioned, acting non-conditionally, in accordance with the Tao, or heavenly laws governing all. So that's you can say another meaning of this. A very basic. Yeah, as a sovereign, we act in accordance with heaven. Yeah, okay, or according to the Tao or the heavenly principles. Okay, but the deeper meaning of heaven is this. It's the Tao. It's the heavenly Tao, Chen Tao. The heavenly nature, you can say that. Okay, that's a deeper meaning. So another understanding is being a sovereign, okay, means to live up to the heavenly mandate for you, which means in conclude with that. Okay, so this is kind of still basic, a little bit more advanced, but okay, still basic. All right, okay. So the deeper meaning is this: the master of our entire body that belongs to Buddha is called heaven. Yeah. So who's that master? Buddha nature. Okay? All right, imagine. Okay? And it's heaven. Okay, it's called heaven. It represents heaven. Maybe you can say that. Or it's a projection of heaven. Okay? Within us. Okay? Within us. Now, this is a narrower scope. Okay? Or at a personal level. So the another understanding is that so that's the Buddha nature, right? It's the heavenly. It's also, remember, going back, it's impartial, right? It's tolerant, or acceptant, right? Okay. Unfortunately, what's difficult for most of us is to take notice and point out our own selfishness. We have this very strong sense of ego, unfortunately. Okay? Selfishness. If we have an ego, then we definitely have selfishness, right? Okay. All right. So that's the difficult, thing to kind of like get rid of, or to at least to take notice, right? We're always right? It's always like this. Okay. All right. The implication is this: because we attach great importance to ourselves, we need to subdue our selfishness. Yeah, this is the Yan Hui part, but I didn't have it mentioned it here, but I was going to. Previously, I talked about that. We need to discipline or have to subdue, you will, or control, or be vigilant against our ego, our selfishness. That's very important. Remember, we talk about unself, right? Non-self, I forgot. It's up here someplace, right? We talked about it. Up here someplace. Where is it? It doesn't matter, but we talked about it previously, right? Okay? So, anyway, where am I? Okay, here. All right. So that we have to be careful, okay? So here, the key point now, this is talking about the sovereign is heaven, okay, or the king, okay, it's heaven. So the key point is this: if we could subdue or control our self, our ego, 克己, and follow our true nature, okay, literally it means be accordance with propriety. That's 复理, okay. That's what Yan Hui's, you can say his, we can describe, that's Yan Hui's cultivation, or that's his character. He has definitely no ego. He hardly ever talks, if anything. He's always in the background. So he has, almost no ego. Unlike some of his other fellow disciples or brothers, who 自贡 is like almost opposite. Okay, but example. And he is always follows his true nature. Or the superficial event means to return to rituals. That's what Li means. Proprieties. Actually, it means to be in accordance with our Buddha nature. Okay, that's the more deep. And I think we talked about that in chapter 14, right? 14. Okay. All right. So by subduing our ego and following our true nature, we regain our true heavenly nature. Yeah, we regain it because we are one with it. It's the master. We're not overriding it, our heavenly nature, with our ego or human nature. So the entire heavenly nature can resume all its matter. Yeah, resume. Yeah, you can say resume. Yeah. Okay. Display all its manifestations. So that's where the divine wisdom comes into play. So a lot of people ask, how come I don't have no divine wisdom? How come I can't, whenever I encounter problems, issues, matters, affairs, deal with people, how come my divine wisdom does come up? I thought you said all Buddha natures have divine wisdom. How come when I need it now, it doesn't show up? What happened to it? Well, that's because you're using your human mind. Okay. So the human mind will override, okay, our Buddha nature, or our Buddha nature mind, if you want to call it that. And therefore, one of its manifestations is this divine wisdom. All right? So that's the reason. Okay? All right. Whew, we're getting there. All right. Well, we're almost an hour. Okay. All right. Then what is heaven? Right? What is heaven? We know that the king is heaven. Then what is heaven? Heaven is Tao. Very simple. Okay. So the Tao, we already described the Tao in so many ways in all these previous chapters. Okay, 1, 4, 10, 14. I think that's it. There's more, because don't forget this is chapter 16 only. Okay, so the basic meaning is to be. It's this. To be in accordance with heaven, we say heaven, is the same as being in accordance with the Tao. Okay, we say heaven. What is heaven? Well, it's being a king. All right. And then what's being a king is to be impartial. And what's being impartial is to be accept. And what is to know the constant. Cang, right? Okay, so it all goes back to this. Cang. Okay, all right, okay. So that's, all right, that's the Tao. All right, okay. So basic, another meaning, I understand. It's, you can say, to be non-violent like this is to possess. Okay, yeah, I mean, that's more on the individual level, okay, the narrower level, which is, yeah, if we are at one, and alignment and congruent, then we have real power. We have the what? The power of the Tao. That's when all the what? Buddha nature, divine wisdom will come out. All right? Will be in display. That illumination, that 1,000-year dark room will be totally lit up. Okay? All right, etc., etc. Okay? All right. Deeper meaning. Heavenly nature is Tao. Yeah. So this heaven, this nature, is the Tao. It's just you can say it's part. Remember I say it's a corollary. They conform, right? They're part of one another, you can say. Okay? We just, from different perspectives. Okay? All right. So the human nature is the Tao. Okay. Sorry, the heavenly nature. All right. Okay. Deep understanding is our also. What's the heavenly nature? It's our eternal Buddha nature essence. So that's the Tao too, right? So that's why we all say the Tao's within us. I mean that's not wrong, but that's being at a very narrow level, on an individual level. We say, yeah, there's a Tao. That's because we have the Buddha nature essence. Okay. All right. So the higher understanding. It can be manifested. What I'm saying, our Buddha nature is manifested throughout the entire cosmos. Or you can say the Tao. The Tao is, okay, throughout the entire cosmos. All right. So the implication is everything is encompassed. That's what I'm saying, by our Buddha nature essence. Okay. Remember that because Buddha nature. Okay. Here. How do we do this? Okay. Let's go back. Do it in reverse order. The Tao encompasses everything, right? The entire cosmic void is the Tao, right? It's that created by that true emptiness, right? Okay. But also, the Tao is the heavenly nature, okay? And the heavenly nature is our Buddha nature. So therefore, everything is also encompass our Buddha nature because it's the Tao. Okay? All right. So that's another way of saying. Okay. So the key point, calling it the Tao, is much broader. Yeah, it is. Right? It encompasses the entire. Okay. So while calling it the nature, within ourselves, the Buddha nature, it's rather narrow. It's true. I mean, that's not. It's just you with two different perspectives. Okay. Although both are the same, they are the same. We just said that, right? The Buddha nature is the heavenly nature, which is the Tao, right? So the Buddha nature is the Tao, right? Okay. So both are the same, but the perspectives and the way we explain their substance or their essence, maybe that's a better term, is different. Okay, that's the only thing. So that's why you go through this, right? The Tao, you can say it reverse. The Tao is heaven. Heaven's sovereign. Sovereign is impartiality. Impartiality is acceptance. Acceptance is constance. Okay? Constancy. Okay? You can do it that way too. Okay? All right. But remember, that's why the perspectives are different. Lao Tzu was talking, well, in this chapter anyway. Other chapter, it'd be different. In this chapter, he's talking about from the narrow level, right? Because he's talking about us, right? To the highest level, to the grandest level, right? From the personal level to the almost, where am I? Right here, yeah, to the higher level. Okay, let's see. We're almost near the end, folks. Okay, as a matter of fact, yeah. We're near the last, we're in this last section, remember I said, okay, we got 2 more phrases. So what is the Tao? What is the Tao? The Tao is eternal. 久 means enduring, lasting, duration, long ago, it could be everlasting. Okay, so the basic definite meaning of this phrase is, he's saying the Tao is eternal, everlasting. What Tao is. Tao always is, right? Always was, is, and will be. Okay, another understanding is this. Everything that lasts is in accordance or in alignment or congruent with the Tao. Then we talk about something similar to this in some previous chapter. We said something that is permanent, is the Tao. And if it's contrary to the Tao, it doesn't last. Okay, same idea. Okay, so the further understanding is that all things that don't last are contrary to the Tao. Their transience or transient and impermanence go against the Tao. Okay, so that's interesting, right? Okay, all right. So that means what? Forms are transient and impermanent, so they're not the Tao. All right, because they're not permanent, they're not eternal. Okay. So the deeper meaning is to enter the Tao, into Tao is everlasting. To be with the Tao, to say at one with the Tao, oneness, and that's nirvana. That's also nirvana. Okay, that means nirvana also. Okay, if you want to use Buddhism. Higher understanding that the Tao will never vanish. It always exists. It's timeless, right? Eternal deals with the time dimension. Okay. One aspect of the time dimension. Okay. All right. So the implication is Tao is 无所不在. It's omnipresent. It's everywhere. You can say it's everywhere. It's always is, always exists. Therefore, it's the last day. That's another way. So the key point is the Tao is eternal and always exists in this material world, even though it's formless. Even though you can say that, yeah, that essence, the Tao is, intangible, colorless, etc., right? But it exists. Okay, this encompasses everything. All right, sorry, I'm almost over. Okay, we're at the last phrase of the last section. Okay, so the translation is this: the self or the body is no more. 没生, there's no more body. There's no danger. Okay, without danger. Okay. This means no without the first word. Okay, so the first and second word put together means no body. Okay, no oneself. Okay, the last word it means general. I think this is an adjective, right? Yeah, adjective. It means dangerous, perilous. It could be a verb also. I think these are adverbs. Okay, all right. So the basic meaning, there's the external, internal. Okay, so hopefully by now, chapter 16, if you any type of we say sutras or scriptures, even Buddhist scripture, sutras, like that. There's always an internal, external component. Okay, we have to go beyond the superficial, or you can say, direct translation or direct meaning. Okay, not direct meaning. That means surface meaning. Okay, all right, or basic. That's why I call it like basic meaning. Okay, you have to go beyond. Okay, we have to understand that. Okay, that's what makes them sutras, scriptures, and that's what makes them so, you can say, holy or divine. Okay, or beyond secular. Okay, beyond the physical. Okay, so there's a basic meaning, and that's the one external side, is to follow this teaching. One will encounter no problems in one's life until one's in. Okay, so that's the basic. This whole chapter, right? If we follow this teaching, that's very basic, external. It's not wrong. It's not wrong. Okay, it's just very basic. Okay, all right. Then there's another meaning, the inner. There's an inner peace or spiritual internal portion. So for one's physical body is no more. Okay, when we pass away, we say pass away. One returns to the Tao in one's true nature. We can never be harmed or have any dangers, which is also true, because we have this Buddha nature. Remember I said this Buddha nature is beyond nature, beyond karma? Yeah, nothing can harm it. It's true. Nothing can harm it. So we have to make a distinction that the Buddha nature is not the soul. Okay, we have to, we tend to, when we're, especially when we're talking about the three treasures or trying to get the people to receive the Tao, we say, if you don't receive the three treasures, your soul's going to go to the underworld and suffer, which is true. That's not false. But that soul is not the Buddha nature, because the Buddha nature does not suffer. Buddha nature can't suffer. It can't be stained. The reason why there's a soul and there's a Buddha nature is because we have karma. We have a physical body. So therefore, we have to have a soul. Remember in chapter 10, we talk about the 三魂七魄, the three life forces and the 7 vitalities. You can say vitalities, okay? Those are not permanent. Actually, the soul is not even permanent, because the soul exists when we have a body, okay? A form, a body, because you could be in celestial heaven, so we say there's no body, but they have a form, okay? They have a form. The 3 realms, right? The realm that's in the realm of desire. There's also a realm of form and realm of formless. They also have a form. So when you have a form, you also have a quote unquote spirit or soul. Okay, all right. So that we have to just know that. Okay, understand that. All right. Okay, and the reason why we say, when we have a body, after we pass away, the soul goes to, it could go to the celestial heaven. Okay, yeah, if you do good, yeah, fine. Okay, or go to the underworld. So if you go to the celestial heaven, if our soul goes to celestial heaven, you enjoy pleasure. You don't suffer. You don't suffer. You don't get torture. You don't suffer pain. Aches, etc., etc., etc. Whereas it's the opposite in the underworld. You get tortured, blah blah blah, etc., punished, etc. And so therefore you feel pain. That's because we have the soul. Okay. All right. And the reason why we have a soul is because we are driven by samsara, 轮回. Okay. That's why. Okay. The Buddha nature is not, it's beyond karma. Remember we said that before? Yeah. So it there's no soul for it to reincarnate. You get it? Now, there is a connection, a link between a soul and Buddha nature. It's because we have all those, accumulated desires, attachments, etc. That's what gives rise to, we say samsara or reincarnation. And when we reincarnate, then our soul will exist. Get it? Or our soul will be there. Okay, well, there. It's not Buddha nature always is. Yes, always. But actually, when the Buddha nature, when we are at the highest state, I say the Dharma Dhatu or the absolute realm, etc., there is no soul in the absolute realm. Makes sense? Okay, you have to be very clear on that. But in all the other heavens, the 10 Dharma realms, 十法界, okay, anything below, the top 4 actually. Okay, so the bottom 6 realms or levels, or what you want to call it, have to have the soul. Okay, because karma still exists in those realms. Okay, makes sense? All right. So it's not the Buddha nature. Yeah, Buddha nature exists because remember it has the 3 bodies, right? The Dharmakaya, the Fasen, right? That's the true nature, the true state, the original state. That's the state that we all want to be at. Okay, that means there's no reincarnation, or maybe then they step back. No forced reincarnation due to karma. Okay, that's the more complete explanation. Then you have the Sambhogakaya, which is the fu sen, right? Bao sen, sorry, bao sen. Okay, that's when you exist. When the Buddha nature exists, I mean, or is in those celestial realms, for example. Okay, those celestial realms. Okay, then we have the hua sen, the hua, 变化的化. Okay, hua sen, nirmana kaya. That's in the physical realm. Okay, so it's that hua sen that gives rise to the soul. Okay, all right, okay, all right. So that's how I meant. Okay, so but it's all three in one. It's all, you can say, it's all part of our Buddha nature. You can call it that. Okay, all right, okay. So the deeper understanding, higher understanding, even when we no longer have a physical body, there's no jeopardy nor this. Okay, all right. So that's another understanding of this phrase. Okay, the deeper is this. Okay, after manifesting our heavenly nature, while in this physical world, while still living in this world, no matter how old or whatever, there's no danger. Okay, and what I mean by that is, it's not that, we can't be physically harmed. No, that's not what Lao Tzu meant. He's talking about spiritually, that our Buddha nature, we are at one with God, so nothing can harm it. Just like, remember, I talked about, that's why I brought up the story of San Guang, the second patriarch of Zen Buddhism in China. He was about to be beheaded. So isn't that danger? Of course, to his physical body, but he's not attached to his physical body anymore. He's beyond it. Why? Because he's at one. His Buddha nature actually is in the entire cosmos. So how are you gonna harm this cosmos, this entire cosmos? It can't be harmed, right? So he's at one. So therefore, he wrote that little couplet, that poetry, saying that, even though I'm gonna be beheaded, but that's like the thunder or the shock of the spring breeze. Let me ask you, during the springtime, obviously, without, not under hurricanes or tornadoes, normal conditions, isn't the spring breeze very gentle, very soothing, very, I say, cooling, right? Very comfortable. So even though physically he was about to be beheaded, which is a very, very dangerous, perilous situation, yet in his mind, he was able to say, whatever happens to my physical body is not a big deal, because, so it's like a spring breeze, a general spring breeze, that I'm going to be beheaded, because he is already at a different level, at the highest level, that, his Buddha nature everywhere. That can't be harmed. Okay, there's no, okay? All right, so the implication is this. Because we are one with the eternal Tao, we have no perils. All right? Okay, so the key point is, after the body's gone, there's no big danger, because we have returned to our true nature, Fu Ming. Okay? Sorry it took so long. I knew it took about 70 minutes, 80 minutes. Okay. That's all I have to say, Ty. Any more questions? It's a lot, but...
Okay, so anyways, are there any questions?
Yes, Lecturer Kai. I just want to be clear, right? Because he said, if our Buddha nature has no karmas, right? So I am wondering, so if our Buddha nature has no karmas and one is reincarnated, how does the past karma come with that new life?
Because we still retain attachments, all right? We still have all those prior, I guess, you say causes that hasn't been resolved. So therefore, the attachments becomes linked to our Buddha nature. So therefore, and remember, once we have attachments, right? Attachments or, previous causes, et cetera, those fall under karma and nature. So therefore, then you're forced to reincarnate by causality. Now, Buddhists can choose to reincarnate, but it's not because of causality. they made a vow, for example, right? They, like Buddha did, okay, to come to this world, okay? But that's because they have no more attachments, no more desires, none of that. It's retained. You understand?
Yes.
So
I'm going to put it this way, Johnny.
Yes.
That's one thing we know our Buddha nature without it exists, but has no form. Exists means we can see it. That's why we have sometimes we call very original spirits or soul. The reason we call soul and Buddha nature are different, because our soul, individual soul, has an attachment, desires, three poisons like greedy, anger, acceptance, and all the like dislike. That's our spirits, our soul. With the Buddha nature are without those stuff. So that's why we call Buddha nature. Sometimes for a lot of new people, it's hard to say, okay, what Buddha nature mean, true nature mean. True nature without bad temper, bad habit, without desire, without three poisons, without attachment. So we call true nature very pure. That's right. Like the Buddha has that. All the Buddha has that. But human beings, we have true nature, but our true nature are not there yet. We still need to get rid of all the stuff which true nature do not have. Right. So we need to cultivate ourselves, get rid of those stuff, become like a Buddha, have a true nature coming out.
Good, understood.
Yeah. So is that clear for you or not?
Yes.
Yeah. So sometimes people call spirits, but those spirits are very original spirits, not our existing spirits. Okay.
Right.
Yeah, the one we have now. We need to get rid of all the stuff: bad temper, bad habit, bad desire, attachment, three poisons, all the other stuff. Yep. So that's what we need cultivation.
Yeah. Hey Johnny, I think I understand your question. When, for example, if a person, for example, okay, the person got sick, he has cancer, right? Mm-hmm. That's the karma. He created maybe previous life or this life, right? Yeah. So the bad karma is with him, right? Yeah. With this person. But when we cultivate very well, we find our Buddha nature, right? That's why Holy Teacher wants us to do the homework. Don't raise any, even one single thought, right? Yeah. So when we stay in our true nature, true Buddha nature, do we feel pain? Yes. We don't feel pain no more, right? If we stay in our Buddha nature, we don't feel any pain at all.
If you stay in true Buddha nature state, okay, in this state, okay, situation.
Yes, that's why the bad karma, whatever bad karma, still with the person, but because he find the Buddha nature and he always stay 24 hours, he stay in that stage, so he does not feel any pain at all.
Yeah, the true self, your Buddha nature, does not feel pain. Your physical self can feel pain, but here's the link. If our true self, if we reside, if we at that level, if we reside, 常住真心, right? If we reside in that level, then your true self will not feel the pain. So therefore, it's like you don't feel the pain. You understand?
Yeah, understood.
Yeah. It's not easy. We only can stay in a good natural state maybe a few seconds, not all day. Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
But that's what we need to practice. Not give it another raise a single thought and then get all the affinities. We need to practice that. Do that every day, every second, but not easy.
Yeah. To say it's easy in theory, yeah, and conceptually it's easy.
Yeah, but the practice.
Actual practice, yeah.
But we need to practice every day. Okay. Yeah.
So that's why we still have to cultivate. Right?
Yeah.
So.
But we need to practice that every day. Okay. Yeah. All the Buddha came here tell us every day about that. Mm-hmm.
Hi, Lecture Pi.
Yes.
My question could be repeating, but you said that once the soul goes to underworld, the Buddha nature is not feeling the pain. So where is the Buddha nature when the soul is in the underworld?
What is the Buddha nature?
So you said the soul goes to underworld,
Right.
is being punished.
Right.
But the Buddha nature is not feeling the pain.
Correct.
So where is that Buddha nature when the soul goes to underworld?
The Buddha nature, okay, when we go to the underworld, it's not that there's no form. There's still a form. It's just that it's a different type of form. We say spiritual form, or from our physical dimension. But in the underworld, or just like in Qitian, the celestial heaven, they also have forms. So they, in the celestial realms, just as in the underworld, and just like in our physical realm, they have forms and they'll feel pain, pleasure, joy, sorrow. The Buddha nature is still with them. Okay. All right. Okay. Actually, if you would, yeah, it's like what's the analogy? It's like an avatar. Like an avatar. What's an avatar? What has a definition of avatar? Anybody know? Seen that movie? It's like a virtual representation of you or something like that. It's like an avatar.
So are you saying the divas they are having a different form than the Buddhas in the
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, they have different forms. Yes. Actually, our Buddha nature has no form, right? So that's we have to understand that. But once we have a soul, then we have a form.
This is Mark. I'm going to say this way. I think that's a very good question. Can you hear me?
Yes, transmitter.
When we die, the spirit will go to the underworld, right?
Mm-hmm.
The Buddha nature and spirits are together. Okay? The spirits, what we call Buddha nature. Buddha nature is our spirits without the desires, attachment, without poisons, without bad habits, without bad temper, which Buddha nature do not have. But our spirits have those stuff. Mm-hmm. So then we need to give them those stuff. But spirits and Buddha nature, they're all together. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I understand. But Buddha nature, that's what I talk about. Buddha nature is everywhere. It's not just in our body or outside of our body. It's everywhere we have Buddha nature. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay, so Buddha nature and spirits, they are all together. Mm-hmm.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, makes sense for you?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, I'd like to thank the grace of heaven, the virtue resident, and ask if I said anything wrong. I ask for the Buddha's forgiveness and also allows his forgiveness and guidance. Thank you.